Good afternoon, my friends. Wow, I'm so excited. I'm always so excited for Wednesdays, to be honest with you. I think I say that every Wednesday, but I love seeing you all here. And I'm super excited to get into some conversation with you because, I love conversation and I love dialogue. I just got off of this really great interview with a young trans guy who has some really interesting things to say. One of the things I really love is connecting with the younger generation, and I don't want to lose hope because I keep finding these young guys who are reaching out to me. So it's really great that I'm actually making a connection and building a bridge with the younger generation, which, I think they're being taught some behavior that is not going to be beneficial to them in the long run. So just so y'all know, oh, thanks for loving my channel. That means a lot to me. Just so y'all know, I really do try to connect with the young people because I think sometimes my older I don't think I want to call it so much wisdom, but my older lived experience can help them to see that sometimes I think that they're being sort of pushed and directed in a space that I am like, oh, wrong turn, kiddo. Come back. So I wish I had what I like to call myself a grandpa. I wish I had an older trans guy when I was growing up trans. I really do wish that on some level. I didn't have that. And I do think in any generation, most generations don't necessarily appreciate the older generation, and I was one of those people. I think I always talk about this. It's hard to connect with older people when you're a youngster, and you have a different opinion about things, which it makes you think that older people don't know anything. But I think what I had learned in my old age and growing is that old people are gold. They're gold. If you've never visited a home somewhere that where older people are, you're missing out. Volunteer an hour or two of your time a week or a month, just something to go into a home where there's older people who might not have families or have been put there for many reasons. But you'll be surprised the things that you will learn, the stories they have to tell, the things that it will do for your life, and the really the history that we're all missing out on. And it's really a very profound thing to sit with an older person and really love to listen to their stories. You will gain so much from it, not only knowledge, but you will actually gain a form of compassion that you might be missing in your life, just to sit and listen to somebody else. And I think what I notice is that a lot of elder or older people who don't get that interaction with the young generation. I don't consider I'm going to speaking with 80-year-olds, which I find fascinating and beautiful. And so, I want to acknowledge all you. Thank you so much for coming and joining. I see you all. Thank you so much from everywhere. Ireland, like I think the Netherlands, like everyone's here today. So thank you so much, everybody. And also thank you so much for watching my new interview with James, who has, I can never pronounce it, but he has that disorder. That is so fascinating. I really loved that interview with James a lot. And if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend that you do, because I believe the knowledge that James brought to us in regards to puberty blockers, and in regards to how important puberty is. I also want you all to know here, I'm a guy that can change my mind. Hey, Courtney, I'm a guy that can change my mind. Just so you know, I'll be transparent and honest here. I used to believe that puberty blockers were good. I will acknowledge that. I've had people say, "Oh, Buck, wow, you just really flipped on that." Well, yeah, I flipped on it because I did my research. I didn't do my research, or I was being told that puberty blockers are great. They're good for the kids. They're going to really help these kids grow up to be not have all the problems you had. And so, I got sucked into that thought process. 100% I did. And then I started hearing another side of the story, and other people were like, "Wait a minute, Buck, did you know X, Y, and Z?" And I'm like, "Actually, I didn't know that." And so I really did dive deep into understanding what puberty blockers really mean. So I will let you know that I once did agree And I once was a person who believed that puberty blockers were good. And so, when people try to sideswipe me or gaslight me, oh, Buck, you were totally okay with it. Yeah, I was. I'm totally honest with you all. I was okay with it. I am no longer okay with it. As more and more information came out and it gave me an opportunity to see both sides of the story, I changed my mind. And I don't understand. Do you all understand why it's a bad thing to change your mind on something? It's weird to me that people would be mad at me because I did my research. That's right. That's how it's supposed to work. I did my research and I said, "Oh, wait a minute, actually, I'm changing my opinion. I'm a cha Why are we not allowed to change our opinion?" You are. I just want to reinforce that to all of you out there. You can actually change your mind. That is, first off, one of the great things about technology and learning and understanding and getting information from all sides of the story. You have the opportunity at your fingertips to research. Back in the day, we didn't have that. I mean, back in the day, but now you can actually, I'm not saying trust Google, because that's not true, but you can start there and then you can actually follow a trail and go off and find things. And in my opinion, okay, and in my opinion and my research, for somebody who actually believed puberty blockers were good and they were a way that kids could have this space and they were reversible. I was taught that they were reversible until people started shoving stuff in front of my face saying, "Hey, wait a minute, Buck, that's not true." And doctors, therapists, all kinds of people came to me and said that. And I'm always willing to change my mind. I always want you to know that. I am always willing to change my mind, as you should be. But I'm not willing to let you gaslight me or tell me I'm a bad person because I take a stance on something. I take stances on things because it's the way I operate. If you can take a stance on it, so can I. This is the shit show we're in, people. This is the actual crap we're in. You have to take a hard line way now. And I don't take necessarily a hard line on everything. I've taken an opinion about puberty blockers. If that changed, which I don't think it ever will, to be honest with you, but if it did, I might change my mind back to saying that. But how dare people say I have to have a stance this way because I'm trans? Oh, really? Oh, really? Trans is not my defining factor in my life. It's just a part of who I am, as I tell you every week. It is my disorder. I do not identify as my disorder. I am not gonna be put in that space. It's just not an identity choice. I want all you to see the difference between trans today and this idea of being trans and wanting to be trans. That is not a transsexual person. A transsexual person is somebody who has this disorder. By the way, before I get off on one of my little tangents, I want to let you know that somebody, probably a lot, ganged up on me because it's the only way you can try to take me out is to gang up on me. Mass reported one of my lives. I think it was the live called "Is Trans a Mental Disorder?" and reported it. So it got taken down for hate speech. It actually got taken down. Oh, hey, mister. Nice to see you. Thank you. It got taken down for hate speech. But I appealed it. That's the one good thing. Thank you, YouTube. I want to thank you, YouTube. I appealed it as not hate speech, because what part of hate speech is it when I'm talking about myself? So you all know when I talk about things, I talk a lot about myself. So in this particular video and this live, I was talking about myself and I was talking about my mental disorder, my diagnosis, why I believe this helped me to move forward. And somebody reported it as hate speech, or not somebody. There's no way it could have got taken down by just one person. A massive amount of these crazies reported my video. Anyway, I appealed it, and I wrote in there in the appeal, because they actually give you an opportunity to say what you want to say, which is actually kind of cool. It's not just appeal. I actually got to say X, Y, and Z. Excuse me, YouTube, but I'm an elder transsexual in this community. I have a long time. And I speak about myself, and I was speaking about myself, and I was speaking about why this, and I, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, they came back and said, we agree with you and we have put your video back. And I was like, I'm never used to people, especially on these platforms saying, yeah, because Instagram will just shut me out and never let me appeal. Well, their appeal is you click a button, but you don't get to have any say so in that. So it's a win for all of us. Thank you. It's a win for all of us. So that is totally awesome. I just want to give props to YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, for having the dialogue and being open-minded about what's going on, because many of the other platforms don't do that. They do not give you the opportunity to appeal it in a way that says, hey, wait a minute here. I'm an actual transsexual and I'm actually talking about myself. I'm not saying everyone, because not everyone does agree that this is a mental disorder. And that's on them. It's not on me. I do. And it's part of my transition, and it's part of the way I have transitioned. And it's why I believe that I feel so happy in my transition, because I accept my disorder. And that being said, I do not in any way, shape, or form identify as my disorder. And that's what I'm talking about when I see a lot of the younger generation identify as trans. I always find that to be very interesting to me. What does that mean to identify as trans? Oh, hey, Marnix. Marnix is a young trans man that I just interviewed this morning, and it's a great interview, and I think you all will enjoy it. So thanks for joining us, Marnix. Um, he's a young kid with a great head on his shoulder, and I think he's going to really be great for the younger generation and helping some of these kids sort of realize that they might be going down the wrong path and to slow down a little bit. There's nothing wrong with slowing down with anything if you just sit with yourself. I don't know how many people here have just learned to sit with themselves. It's a great skill. I used to be scared of myself on some level, because when I would sit with myself, my brain would be like, it still does. But I've learned to sort of tap into that. And I highly recommend sitting with yourself, turning off all of this stuff, turning off your phones, turning off everything. If you have a garden, sit there 5 minutes. I'm only telling you 5 minutes. Sit with yourself. You will actually learn how to love yourself on a deeper level. You will also learn a lot of things about yourself. And you will also learn that a lot of the stuff that's being put in front of your face is complete and utter nonsense. But we're getting sucked into it. And it's actually kind of scary, to be honest with you. Hey, Jedi, thank you. Thank you, friend. I do appreciate that. When we change our mind, it means we are growing as that's right. That's exactly right. That's what I want you to all know. That's why I'm not in any way, shape, or form embarrassed to tell you, oh yeah, I definitely was pro puberty blockers. There's no doubt I was pro transitioning kids. I talked to parents. I even met some of the kids. I was one of those people until I started to see other ways and things that happened to make my mind change, which one of those things is detransitioners. You all know that. I support detransitioners. And if our community is going to be so nasty to detransitioners, I'm going to have to push back on that, because that's not community. That is not community. And those people are still part of our community. As far as I'm concerned, detransitioners are still part of our community. And for us to ostracize them or to call them names or to tell us that they're not welcome here, well, I'm welcoming them because they went down a path that somebody told them was okay. Do you all know what I'm trying to say here? These young people went down a path that some doctor or therapist or expert told them they were trans. They didn't do it on their own, just so you know. Somebody within the trans affirmative care pushed a young person into a space they never should have been put in. That's what you need to understand, and why I will not shut up about detransitioners, because there's going to be a lot more. And there's going to be so much damage done, not only to those young people, which should be our first priority, but to this actual transsexual space. That's why they're waving the flag and saying, hey, because that's why I connect with them. I have no issue with them. They don't hate me and I don't hate them. How can us get along, and but other trans people are calling them names. Why? What's going on with those other people that they're so angry at detransitioners? My opinion is because on some level it affects their own transition, but it doesn't affect mine, and it never will. And in fact, it shows you that my transition is for reals, where theirs was not. Hey, Courtney, thank you, friend. I'd always appreciate that. They're telling kids gender dysphoria is not in the DSM. That talking about it is just trans hate for scumbags. My son was, I did an interview with Courtney. She's a great mom, and she has an autistic child who got sucked into this whole trans nonsense. He went to the gay student union one day, and I think he was like 14 or 15, something like that, Courtney. Anyway, he came home the same day and he said, "Oh, mom, I'm trans." And she's like, "What?" Like, "Yeah, because I said my I like pink and My Little Pony." That's a real story. The GSU are the ones that diagnosed her son, who happens to be autistic, who happens to like Pink and My Little Pony, and somehow that makes you trans now. That's actually what you all need to see. And then that person transitions when they should have never transitioned, and then what happens? They become a detransitioner down the road, because it's not gonna last. If you're not really trans and you're transitioning, it's not gonna last, because you're transitioning for the wrong reason. You're transitioning because somebody told you you were trans, not because you are trans. You see the difference? Is why I keep telling you I don't identify. So now today, so here's the topic. Here's the topic that I decided that I really wanted to have this discussion today, which is trans what? What is trans? Yeah, I was 30 when I transitioned. That's true. I was actually 30 years old, and I struggled. I struggled. I won't lie. I struggled. So what? You struggled. I bet everybody in this room struggled. You didn't struggle with gender dysphoria, but you might have struggled with some body stuff. You might have struggled with your identity choice. You might have struggled with just walking around in the world. I don't think not one teenager out there in the world has ever not struggled. You struggle to find your peer group. You struggle to be okay at school. You struggle because you're just finding yourself. But now we have all of this social media, which adds such an impact, such a mental impact on the youth. And I think it's so damaging. I just got this book. What's the name of it? The guy who wrote a book called Glow Kids, and this is his, I think, second or third book. He's a psychiatrist, I think, or a therapist, and it's specifically about the damage that social media is doing on all of us, not just the young generation, on all of us. And I want to know why so many young kids are acting so out of control on some level. And I do believe it's social media, because it can't be anything but. That's the thing. That's the sort of missing sort of link for me, is why are kids today acting a certain way when we didn't act? Oh, thank you, friend. VJ, thank you so much. Aggressive trans people fully believe that those who think differently from them are evil. It's so crazy. I mean, even me, an old tranny, reading that it's just insane. I can't even comprehend. They've been fed propaganda as a steer. No, no, 100%. 100%. The young people are radicalized. They're radicalized. They're in a cult-like state. They're being manipulated. They're being used. They're being told that trans is an identity, and anyone that doesn't accept it is a bigot, and every word in the book. So no, 100%. The youth are being radicalized under this trans sort of thing. It's why I need to keep telling you all that what you see is not actually trans. It is an ideology fed to young people. Most of these kids are reading this book is really giving me a great perspective. I wish I had it here, but it's in my other room. But that being said, I'll put a link down here later, because it's so far a great book, and it's literally telling me that so a lot of these kids are depressed right? Not necessarily because of the internet, but maybe prior to that, a lot of them are depressive, anxiety, have disorders, that I think what is that bipolar or the personality disorder thing is all huge now. ADHD, autism. There's all kinds of stuff going on with these kids, and then they get in front of TikTok or in front of a bunch of other young people who are like, "Woohoo! Trans is great. Trans joy. I have no boobs. Yay! Look!" And they're putting this sort of false sense of reality in front of young, vulnerable kids who are looking borderline, thank you, who are looking for something. You know that, but these kids are on a different level than kids who don't have necessarily any kind of disorders or things happening right for them mentally. So it's a specific type of kid that is latching on to trans. And if you look at it from that perspective, it starts to make sense to me. Oh, I get it. These are lonely kids. These are kids who just can't connect on some level. They're angry. They have a lot of anxiety. They're depressed. I mean, it's on and on and on. And then they see trans, and then they see trans influencers with millions of followers and are just like, I'm trans and my life is amazing. But off camera, what do you think these trans influencers are doing? Thanks, VJ. Many people who claim to be trans also claim to be autistic. That's true. That's actually true. Or have other disorders. True. Most of these kids are also self diagnosing themselves with these disorders. They're self diagnosing, just like they self diagnose as trans. I think their pain is being taken advantage. I do too. Taken advantage of and reshaped to suit the agenda of the 100% on board with you, VJ. 100%. That's actually kind of the point I'm trying to make here. Is they are targeting they they is very scary. What's they? Who are they? Who are the people who are doing this? Because they are most definitely targeting young people. There is no doubt in my mind. Reading the book, understanding why so many young people are identifying as now they're not identifying as LGBTQIA plus. They're identifying as trans or queer. Those are the two new identity choices for young people: is queer and trans. All self-diagnosed, then self-diagnosing as autistic or self-diagnosing as ADHD or anxiety or whatever. Pfizer. I see that in the corner of my eye right there, my friend. Pfizer. One and then Marnix, Big Pharma. We all know. We all know. So here's a great question. I'm going to bring this question up here because I like it. I like it, Brony. Thank you. It's a great question. Serious question. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you do to fix the problems you see today? First off, what I would fix today is I would take out self ID. I would take out that you don't need a diagnosis to be trans. Okay. I would stop all the clinics. I would stop every single gender clinic. You hear me? Clinic out there. I would make it a little bit more difficult to access hormones. I would make it more difficult to be trans. I would steer children and young people into other spaces that might help them to understand that they're not trans. They're just dealing with other things going on in their lives. So I really do think I would make access to transitioning much more difficult. And I would also try to get more information out there to the young people that trans isn't what you think it is. So that's my magic wand going, okay, we're done. And watch what happens. Watch what happens to these kids. They're no longer going to be feeling like they need to be trans. Let me tell you this. One of the things that my red flag that came up a while ago, and the thing that sort of made me sort of make a turn on what was happening in this space, because I've always championed for trans rights, always. I think you all know that. But I championed for transsexuals, for people who really have dysphoria, and for surgeries, and for adults, all of that. The red flag for me was children. The red flag for me was, wait a minute, detransition? Wait, we never had detransitioners. Thank you, Courtney. Pharma made one. God, wow. I can't even believe I'm gonna have to read these numbers. Pharma made 1.9 million in surgery. What? 14.17 billion in hormones. And Courtney does her research. I 100% know this woman, and I believe she's giving me real statistics here. Wow. So no, I know, and no part of my mind do I think that it's not true that big pharma on some level has a hand in all of this. They're medicalizing, right? They're medicalizing all of us. Hey, Phoenix, thank you, my friend. I have a disability called spinocerebellar ataxia, but I don't make it my entire identity. Thank God, because thank God, friend, because I wouldn't even be able to pronounce your identity, to be honest with you. So wow, no, that great point. Great point. And I'm sorry that you have it. It sounds pretty intense, my friend. So I'm sending you some love there. Yeah. I mean, the thing that this is so crazy to me, why are kids identifying in their disorders? Why are we telling kids that it's okay and normal and trans is love and trans is joy and woohoo, look at my boobs and what? Let me just give you a little back story on transitioning and people like myself who have struggled in our dysphoria, who were very dysphoric around body parts, who really didn't know how to get to the space I'm in today. It took a long time to figure this out. And I'm now looking back so happy. But remember what I said about being old and young? Old people finally realize, wow, that was a fast journey. 30 years feels fast to me now, right? When I remember when, you know, 1 year felt like 200 years. But what I want you to know is that, going through this transition is such an intense journey. It never ends. It never ends. You're never not transsexual anymore. You're never not dealing with your disorder. I don't care how many hormones you put in your body. I don't care how much weightlifting and masculine. I pretty much achieved the physical space I wanted to achieve. I can tell you, I feel very happy with my achievement here, but it doesn't stop here because the dysphoria is gonna, on some level, be there. I think my dysphoria is leveled down a lot, but I'm not gonna lie to you and say that it doesn't come up every once in a while. Yeah, I look at my body as a 61-year-old. I'm like, yeah, man, my muscles aren't big enough. Yeah, I don't look so bulky as I used to, or like I got to get in the gym and be bigger again. And those are the I don't look masculine enough, right? I have said that to myself over the years. And that's the dysphoria talking. That's this idea that I'm not masculine enough. And that's me. It's not you. It's me and my desires to achieve these sort of spaces to walk the world in. That's the dysphoria that never leaves. That never leaves. Yet I feel like we're telling younger people that if you take this magic pill and you go and have surgery to remove these parts that you feel uncomfortable with right now, that you just got your boobs at 13 or at 14. You haven't had them for very long, but all of a sudden you want to just remove them. We're not leading them down a path of reality that says, hold up here. You got to live with those things for a minute. You got to live with this body for a minute to get over that hump of puberty, to get over that hump of discomfort. You've got to, because without the discomfort and without living in that, how do you know that you actually do not want that? You can't know that in 2 weeks of having boobs. You can't know that in just getting your period. You can't know any of that. I know lots of women and young people who don't like getting their period. That doesn't make them trans. I know lots of women who are uncomfortable growing breasts. Doesn't make them trans. I just had a conversation with a woman who's a butch woman. She's not even a lesbian. She's just a butch woman who grew up like me. She said, I was just like you, Buck, tomboy, masculine, wanted to do all those things. If I would have been today, she's about the same age as me, I would have been transitioned. There is no doubt they would have told me I was a trans guy. And I'm like, you're right. She goes, you know what? Today I'm married. I have an amazing husband. I'm still butch. I have 3 kids. I'm loving my life, and I love being a woman. That's not what we're telling these young people. Why? Why are we not telling young people, "Hold up here. You don't know whether or not you hate being a woman when you haven't even been a woman. You've been a girl." And you're just starting your period, and now all of a sudden you're trans. This is where I'm very upset. And this is where I feel that we are doing such a disservice to young people by we're shoving them into this literally conversion therapy. It's a flip of conversion therapy on some level because that's not therapy. I will say it over and over again. Therapy dives deep into your psyche. It dives deep into why you are disconnected with whatever's going on with yourself. It's why you are cutting yourself. It's why you want to drink alcohol. It's why you don't want to talk to your parents. It's why you're lonely at school. It's why you don't have friends. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And I'm not even a therapist. But here we are, rubber stamping. You guys got to see this. You've got to. We are rubber stamping kids who say right out the gate, I'm trans. We are telling them that they are who they say they are. When you and I, as adults, everybody in this room knows damn well, you and I, adults, know that is not true. I don't care what anybody says. Don't you dare tell me a kid should have autonomy over themselves at 13 because they know who they are. Oh, no, come on. We're playing a game with kids. We're playing a game with kids. Shame on you. Shame on any of you that are like, I wish I had a parent of a trans kid here. Please, please tell me there is. I don't hate you in any way, shape, or form. I do not hate parents of trans kids. I feel for you. I can't even imagine if my kid said I was trans. I already know what I would do, but I know what's happening for you. I think you're being gaslit and you're being told things that aren't true, and you feel desperate and you feel as if that's the only way you're going to not lose your child, but that's not true. Let me remind you that child will grow up and start to have their own space in their brain and start to see things in a different way and start to mature and start to go, oh my God, what did I do? And where was my mom? Why was my mom just going along with the medical doctor saying, yeah, they're trans because they say they are? That's why I'm pissed because I got mental health care, my friends, and I got good ass mental health care. They did not let me move forward on anything until after 2 years. 2. That's a long time of going to a therapist every week. And then I didn't even get to do the next step until I actually had to get a letter. This is the old standards, friends. It's called the Harry Benjamin Standards of Care, which were amazing. They were a step-by-step process, right? I mean, when a kid is growing up, aren't there step-by-step processes of them growing up? Things that you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to guide them, things you're supposed to let them do on their own, things that you're supposed to sort of be there as a catch, but not walk for them. I feel like we're walking for these kids instead of helping the kids go, wait a minute, kiddo, you might not be trans. You might just be you. You might just be somebody who wants to have blue hair and paint your fingernails green. Ooh, awesome. Cool. I encourage my kid to have he has long hair, right? I encourage that. I encourage him to have his own style. He loves to wear his t-shirts inside out. Ugh, it irks me because I'm that guy who's like, I need everything, kind of maybe I have a little OCD. But that being said, he likes to do things different. And so I encourage, it's cool. I'm like, that's so cool, dude, that you wear your shirt inside out. It's your style. And then it became his style because I said to him, "That's a cool style." It's not bothering anybody. He can put his shirt back on right side up when he grows older and decides he doesn't want to do that anymore. He can stop with the fingernail polish or the long hair, whatever else is going on there with him. That's what I think we're missing. We're missing encouraging these kids to find their own style and that they don't have to follow everybody else. And just because your friend told you you were trans does not make you trans, my friend. And how did we get here? How did we get here? I might be non-binary, Emily says. What makes you think you're non-binary? And non-binary is a choice. It's not a disorder. It's not a medical space. It's literally an identity choice. So I'd love to know, Emily, thank you for sharing that. I'd love to know why you think you might be non-binary. Anyway, I'm not going to answer that for you. I'll wait for you to come back here. It would be interesting for me to know why somebody chooses these sort of. You can be non-binary. Just keep in mind that, yeah, that's right, Marnix. Marnix says you can be non-binary. Nobody cares. None of us care about that. We don't care. Here's what I care about. It's not trans. Stop calling non-binary trans. Transgender. Transsexual. Do you know what trans means? Does somebody want to put the definition of trans here? Trans, to transition, to go from one space to the other. That's why it's called transsexual. We're not changing our sex. We know that. We are changing our appearance of sex. So I went from appearing as a female to now appearing as a male, right? And that's the important part of what trans is. It's transing. You're going from one to the other. So where does non-binary fit in that, right? Yeah, because that's called androgyny. Here we go. Wait, hold on. Trans. Thank you, friend. Thank you. Thank you, Brony. Trans. On or the other side, across or beyond. That's why it's called trans. So how does non-binary fit in there? There was something here I just saw that looked really important. Hold on 1 second. Wait, here. Blah 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 blah. My friend is non-binary, but doesn't enforce. Well, yeah, because this is a normal non-binary person, right? A normal non-binary person doesn't force you to take on their belief system. So just so you know, I have a lot of non-binary friends, tons, and they don't think they're trans. They think they're non-binary. It's an identity choice. So with that, do you think kids are making a choice? Are kids making a choice? So non-binary doesn't want to be any gender. They don't want to be male or female. They want to be they, them, z, zer, za, 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 z, z, z's, top, something like to that effect, which is their choice. But here's what I also want to say: when you choose non-binary, friend, and you look like a woman, okay, let's say you look like a woman, and somebody calls you she, what? Why are you getting so upset? Why are you getting so upset? Because if you're getting upset, you're not understanding reality, that 99% of the world lives in their biology, and that most people go by what they visually see, just like a dog. A dog goes by what they visually see. If they see something that's not cool, they're going to get all crazy on that. But if they see you and they recognize you, they're not asking you your pronouns. They just recognize you. And that's what you're not understanding. People don't recognize your pronouns, by the way, unless you're actually physically looking like a man and you are a man and you go by male. If you are non-binary or whatever else is out there and you're expecting people and your pronouns are they, them, zer, which I've seen. I've also seen clown self. I've also seen, what was the new one I saw, which is really blowing my mind. But you expect other people to play with that. You're not living in reality, nor will you ever function in this world, ever, because you will continually get misgendered because no one's going to play your game. That's your choice to be non-binary. It's your choice to have z, them, zer pronouns. It's all your choice. And with that choice comes what? You have to be mature in a sense to know that not everyone's going to understand Z, Zem, Zer. The majority of the world won't. And you have to grow up and be mature about it. Hey, thank you, VJ. Kinda odd that the first editions of the Harry Benjamin Standards of Care are archived in the Kinsey Institute. Well, no, it isn't. In 2006, and you need to request access. That actually is. I didn't know that. And that HBIGDA was renamed to WPATH. Oh, yeah, that's right. No, they're hiding history. You're right, VJ, and I didn't know that. Thank you for that tidbit there. You have to actually request access to the Harry Benjamin Standards, which is the original standards of care that transsexuals went through back in the day. Let me ask you all this. Let me ask you all this. Oh wait, I saw Emily. Emily said she dresses are they. I'm sorry, Emily. Don't get mad at me if I misgender you. Please don't. Please. Please. So I dress in guys' clothes, mostly in women's clothes sometimes, but prefer guys' clothes. Oh, so that's kind of your thing. So what you're saying is you're playing back and forth because Emily was the one who said that they identify as non-binary, and I'll assume that your pronouns are they them. So that being said, you're just playing with with stereotypes. That's all that is. And in fact, we used to call that tomboy back in the day. So it's not any new thing. Just so I want everybody to know what Emily's going through is not new. That's been around forever, especially women. Women, I know so many women who play back and forth with masculine, feminine spaces. 100 that we used to call androgyny back in the day, right? So it's just now under a new name and this new idea that you can push this on anybody else. If your choice is non-binary, nobody cares. Please hear me. Nobody cares. What people care about is when you push your own belief system on them and expect them to go along with what you're saying. People call me she all the time, People call me she all the time. They cannot handle the fact that I, transition to live male. I'll always be a female to them. I'll always be a woman to them. But yeah, that's true. I will always be a female. There's no doubt. And that's what I try to find that bridge with them. That's okay, friend. I know. But for some reason, they just can't call me he. And you know what? Here's what all of this new trans stuff has taught me. Is it that important for me to have you call me he? Is it? No, it's actually not. And it's so incredibly liberating. I have to tell you, and I hope some young people are hearing me. It's the most liberating thing in the world when you don't care what somebody thinks about you or what somebody calls you. It's liberating beyond belief. Because why? Because it gives you power. I have power on my own self. I have power of how I'm going to react to the world. I have power how I'm going to react to a troll in this room. I have power when somebody I even hate saying that, misgenders me. I have power over everything that comes at me. I have a choice to take on your hate or to laugh at you, which I prefer to laugh at you because it is so insane that I would take on your anger because that's where it's coming from. When people purposely, and I'm talking about purposely misgender, I'm not talking about an accident or you see a woman and that woman identifies as a man, but you see a woman and you call her she. That's not on you. Just so you know, that's not purposely misgendering. That is misgendering because you see a woman, you don't see a man. And I think a lot of the younger generation isn't understanding that. Okay. So, oh yeah, if you want to do an interview, there's an email. You guys can, Seth put up an email on my bio here and you can send me an email and we'll connect that. But I'm trying to let you know this as an older person who has gone through misgendering and I've been beaten up. I've been all kinds of stuff, man. And I don't ever want that to happen to you. And God forbid if it does, I just don't want that to happen. But what I think is the problem here is that you're taking on other people's anger and other people's desire to mess with you when they forcefully or purposely misgender you. They're doing it to mess with you. They're not doing it because any other reason, and they want your reaction. It's the same reason why I don't react to trans people calling me Nazi and bigot and transphobic. I laugh at it because I know what you're doing. You're gaslighting me and trying to make me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about when I pretty much know what I'm talking about. And I'm pretty aware of my surroundings. And I've lived this way for a long time. And I'll probably be around a lot longer than many of you trans people will. I bet many of you will come out of this coma you're in or this walking dead space you're in because you're walking around like zombies. You're following other people's idea of who you are. You're not living authentically. No, you're not. I'm calling you all out on it. No, you're not. If your friends have to tell you you're trans, you are not living authentically. You are living in a space because your friends want you to be in that space. Because guess what happens? More trans people, more power, more validity of your own choice. It's why you all keep trying to drag these young people into this because you know that the more young trans people there are, the more powerful this movement becomes. Thank you, Cecilia. That's 100% true, and it took me a long time. I'm not gonna tell you that it didn't hurt my feelings when people would call me she. Oh, I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. But here I sit today going, call me she. I don't really care. I have more important things to worry about than you calling me she. It's just a word. You're actually gonna take on, you're gonna give words that much power. That's the other thing. That's the other thing I think that you're missing the mark on. You're missing the mark on who are you? And is it so important that other people tell you who you are, or is it more important for you to discover who you are? How do you discover who you are if you're not living in spaces of discomfort? How are you not discovering who you are if you don't have discomfort, if you don't have pain, if you don't have breakups, if you don't get millions of jobs, if you don't get fired from a job, if you don't flunk a class, if you don't, I mean, I could go on and on and on. Those are all learning experiences. Today, you're not supposed to fail, or today, you're not supposed to make a mistake, or today, you're not supposed to have an opposing opinion, or even change your mind. The pressure today for a child is crazy. I'm so happy that I'm not. I feel bad for the young generation. It's why trans has become something else. Trans has become a sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Trans has become sort of like a cool club. Red Rabbit, thank you, friend. You're both the mother and father I never had, but oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. That's super sweet. I appreciate that. So, and that is okay for him or person, whoever, to say this to me because I accept my female space. I didn't accept my female space for a lot of my life. I didn't like it. I didn't know the strength and the power of being female. I didn't understand what it meant to be a woman because I didn't feel that way. I still don't know what it means to be a woman. I would say that I know what it means to have female energy, and I have learned to harness that energy. And something I feel gives me a lot of power to walk the world in this space is by actually understanding the special space that I'm in and not disconnecting from that 30 years of lived experience as living female. Hurtful or not, it means something to me now. And it's like sort of connecting with a person that I lost. And, it's going to actually, you know, it's actually going to make me feel a little bit emotional. I have such a problem. A sensitive person, even with very emotionally compassionate person, and that has come with the connection of her, and I can tell you that I would never have said that before. I would have always denied that I was a female. I would have always denied that that existed, that I was never that person. I was always this guy. No, I wasn't. Because we're told that somehow in our trans space, we're told that we're not supposed to ever connect with that female, what the kids like to call the dead name, right? Or that is really so toxic to tell a young person to call that a dead name or to disconnect from that person. I would not be this guy today if that woman and that girl did not go through the turmoil to get me here. And I mean that so deeply and so sincerely, to have finally connected to that old person who went through so much trauma for me. Do you understand what I'm saying? For me, that person went through it for me because I wouldn't be here if she didn't struggle. And it's so profound beyond anything I think I could ever tell any of you out there, to understand your own journey and to realize all of that pain. Oh, I went through so much pain. It's crazy. But to now look back and and literally see her and say, wow, thank you. Thank you for getting me to this next level of my life is, I don't even know on some level if I'm articulating it right, and if you're understanding what I'm saying, because I feel so emotional about it, because it is a gift. It's a gift to sort of connect with that person you hated. It's a gift to connect to something that you never wanted to be, but to know that if it wasn't for that, I would not be sitting here. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So anyway, let me just get a grip. Let me get a grip for a minute. Um, and so this denial this denial of biology hurts my feelings. And why does it hurt my feelings? Because my biology matters to me and she matters to me. And without her, I'm not me. So how can you be trans when you're not connecting to that biology, which should be everything in as a trans person, it should be everything you connect to. But instead you're disconnecting from it and you're lying. You're lying not only to the world, but you're lying more importantly to yourself. And when you lie to yourself, it will catch up. And when you lie to yourself about what it means to be a transsexual person, you are going to feel the brunt of that in ways I can't even imagine, because you can't lie to yourself. Guess what? I mean, think about what I'm saying here right now. You can't actually lie to yourself because you actually know you're lying. Do you understand what I'm saying? You, you can't lie. I can't lie to myself because I'm like, but dude, I mean, I can make the lie, right? But then I'm like, the other side's like, but wait, dude, my other side's checking, the little man, one on one side who's the devil and the other one is the angel. The devil's all, nah, that didn't exist. And the angel's all, dude, you were actually a female. So now, no, I wasn't. Yeah, you were. I mean, it's just like, it's kind of funny because you can't lie to yourself. It will catch up to you. It's why I need you all to know how important it is not to lie about your biology as a trans person. And when you do that, you're messing with my transition, and I won't be a part of that. So I'm sorry, I got a little bit emotional there because I really want you to feel it. I want you to feel how passionate I am about not only my transition, but helping these kids, and helping these kids see what they're being sucked into is so scary beyond belief for somebody like me who really does value this transition on so many levels. It's not my whole life. It seems to be today my whole life because I have to talk about these things. But prior to this new trans, what is happening, it wasn't something I just talked about every day. I sort of did my stuff and walked the world and wasn't on here complaining about what's happening. So, one of the I'm going to transition into something less insane. Instead, I want to transition out of these emotional spaces right now. I just had therapy. So, when you have therapy, it sort of brings up all this stuff. I still go to therapy 30 years later. I'm still in therapy. I highly recommend therapy. So, I'm not scared to show my vulnerable side as a man, where I was for many years, but now I feel like it's empowering on some level to show you that we can all live in harmony. And I think one of the things that we all need to understand is when we share our vulnerabilities with each other, it brings us closer as humans, because we don't feel alone. And so anyway, I shared my space, my vulnerability with you, because I do think that you care about me and that you care about what you're seeing in the world. And together, I think me and you can find that space to start to say, wait a minute, something weird is going on here with these young people. And we can all do it in a way that's not mean and angry, but in a way that says, we care about you young people, and we want to make sure that you're not taking the wrong road, because it's not just a wrong road. It can be disastrous for the rest of your life. And so with that, I've been doing these things where I've been kind of testing the reaction video thing. I always said that I never really wanted to do that, but some of the stuff that's being put out there, my friends, I'm just blown away. I'm blown away as a transsexual man that this is the community that we're in now. And some of the stuff these people are saying, it just reflects the mental illness that's happening at such a level. It breaks my heart, but at the same time, I laugh at some of it because it's just what. So today, I have something here I want to share with you that I found. Um, God, I just find so much stuff, and I want to react to it with you guys together. So let's take a look at this here. Hold on one second. One sec. So as we all know, hold on one second. As we all know, there's these narratives coming out of the trans community that trans women are women, that trans women can get pregnant, that trans women get their period, that men get pregnant, that, oh gosh, that, what else? I don't even know. It's so absurd and actually factually wrong. So this is why I also do these reactions, because I'm tired of the rhetoric being put out by the trans community. No wonder people are pissed at us. I mean, God, to say a trans woman is a woman is so insane. It's so insane. Or that a trans woman can get pregnant, or that a trans woman gets her period, or that men get pregnant, or what? Shut up. That's just absurd and gross. And I see why people don't like us anymore. And I feel like I have to be this bumper. Like, stop. This is not the whole trans community. These people are completely out of their minds. Most of them are doing it because they want attention. I don't know how you all feel about that, but I think the majority of all of these kids, and most of this stuff comes from TikTok, they just need attention. It's so clear. It's so obvious. They just need attention. So I'm going to give them some attention. So hold on. Here we go. Right here.
Cisgender men are
wait. I got to start it over. Okay. Ready? Okay, wait. Here we go.
Cisgender men are incapable of giving birth because they do not have a female reproductive system.
Duh.
Transgender men do have female reproductive systems. Trans men are real men, and
what?
If they choose to, they can give birth.
Okay,
so can transmasculine non-binary people, if they so choose.
What? Okay, so that just didn't make any sense. First, they were off on they were literally going the right direction. Cisgender men can't have kids. I hate cis. I don't use that. Men can't get pregnant because they don't have a reproductive system. Right on. There you go. Trans men can get pregnant because they have a reproductive system. Yeah, that's right. Then they go on to say trans men are men. You're contradicting yourself, kiddo. And that's not true. Trans men are biologically female, which gives them a reproductive system, because you said it. You actually said it, dude. And then goes on to say that they're actually men. First, oh my God, do you see the manipulation? What do you call that? Gaslighting, do you see that manipulation there? right on the right track. Trans men can get pregnant because they have a female reproductive system. Men can't get pregnant because they don't, but then goes on to say trans men are, did he say trans men are real men? Hold on 1 second. Did he say,
Cisgender men
wait,
do have female reproductive systems.
okay, wait, listen.
Do have female reproductive systems. Trans men are real men.
What?
And if
Trans men are real men. What does that even mean? What are you talking about? Trans men are real men. You see, that's cognitive. That's right. It's a disconnect that they're doing, and it's a gaslighting that they're doing to you. And it's a and then so can trans, mask, and non-binary. Oh, so you're just going to put everyone who's a biological female into the pen there, and then they can all be men and get pregnant too. That's the absurdity of it all. It's absurd. And it is delusional, and it's upsetting to me. It's upsetting to me because I just showed you how important it is to connect to your actual biology and to understand it and how empowering that is. But instead, they have to say nonsense like that, and then it gets the whole world pissed off at us. I don't give a shit if you're a trans dude who wants to get pregnant. You go right ahead, buddy. Good luck with that. But don't you dare call yourself a man getting pregnant, because you're not. You're a trans man getting pregnant. That's your choice. It's your body. Do whatever you need to do with it. I don't care. I don't get it. I don't get it. I can't even, the thought of getting pregnant is so dysphoric to me. I want to throw up. I would throw up if I mean, ever got pregnant. The thought of that, rip that thing out of me now. Like, that's where I have a huge disconnect with this new trans stuff, because it just doesn't make sense to me. That is so dysphoric for a transsexual man to say they're going to get pregnant. It's beyond dysphoric. It's just get your period, have boobs. Why are you cutting your boobs off? Here's the question I have to trans men out there who are getting pregnant. Then why are you cutting your boobs off? Don't those boobs need to be for the kid to have some kind of nourishment? Isn't that part of being pregnant? You're supposed to have boobs because that's why you're born that way, because that is part of the whole pregnancy thing. So I don't understand why you're cutting your boobs off and then getting pregnant, and then your child has nothing to get any nutrition from. What are you doing? If you want to get pregnant, you should wait until getting your boobs removed so that you can actually have a healthy baby. It just doesn't make any sense to me, my friends. And that's the kind of stuff I want to bring attention to. I'm just tired of it. It doesn't make sense. It's making us all look crazy. It's making it look like trans is fake and that people like me should never be transitioning, which is scary. It's very scary, people. We have to stop the nonsense. So go ahead and have babies, guys, but stop lumping us all into that stuff and stop lying about why you're having a baby and how you're having a baby. You're having a baby because you're a biological female who has a reproductive system that gives you the opportunity to get pregnant, period. That's it. There's no other explanation for it. So with that, my friends, I want you all to have a beautiful day. I always value my time with you here on Wednesdays, and I'm looking forward to hearing about what's going on with watching the new video. Please, all of you, go watch my new interview with James. I think you'll all get value out of it. You'll all get something and walk away with some knowledge you never had before about hormones, about puberty, about how important puberty is. It will make your head spin. So again, have that beautiful day. Go out, spend a little bit of time by yourself today. Disconnect from the internet for a little while. Just have a little time for yourself. It really is valuable beyond belief. Beyond belief. And if any of you understand the importance of older people in the world, I highly suggest, if you have some kind of home near you or something, that you could just spend an hour with an older person who doesn't maybe have family or doesn't have somebody to come and visit them. You will learn and gain so much in your life by having that experience and understanding that older people are gems and have a wealth of information. Even the stories they have to tell are just God, I've next time on our next live, I'm gonna tell you more stuff. This person that I hung out with and the stories they were telling me was just, oh my God, I was just like, I want more. It was so great. So I love all of you very much. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I'll see you guys all next week. Have a beautiful weekend, even though it's hump day. You have a beautiful weekend. I'll see y'all later.